We have a problem. Okay, when the Trump administration got rid of DEI because he misunderstood it as hiring unqualified people for a job, which is not what DEI does. It was just to be inclusive, to make sure that women and minorities were not left out of job opportunities, that job opportunities were not just for white Christian men. That's why DEI was put into place, but you still have to be qualified for the job. This is that happened. Grants for scientific studies kind of came to a standstill because grant writing in and of itself, when you're applying for a federal grant to do scientific research, is a hard thing to do. People hire grant writers to use specific language to get their point across. Well, now there are a list of words that cannot be used when applying for federal. For the list here, and I will place a link to where you can find the list. The bottom line is we need to find new words, and it's not just synonyms. We're going to have to get creative because the words that you can't use when applying for a federal grant are words like bias, activism, black, barrier, groups, equality, equitable. I'm going to go through all of these in a several part series. But this affects more than just human beings. This is studies on animals or even plants. So plants have female and male ends. Male is not a prohibited word, but female is. And so is woman and women. Actually, woman is not on here. The women is on here. So this list has been run through ChatGPT to try and find replacement words. And there are some clunky phrases that have been come up with, but I think we humans need to do better. Because, for example, with female, the ChatGPT replaced female with childbearing age. And I don't think that's the right definition for female because little girls are also female. And that does not mean female bearing age. But for women, it came up with childbearing age or adult girls. I would like to have us collectively come up with a new list. So for female, it's uterus owner. Okay, we're going to now refer to female mammals as uterus owners. I realize I can't deal with botany right now, and I'm not dealing with egg-laying creatures or reptiles. I also realize that there's a subset of people who LGBTQIA, which I think is probably banned on here. BIPOC is banned. LGBTQ is one of the banned phrases. Scientific purposes, I'm trying to rewrite these forbidden words. And I'd like a collaborative effort, which is why I'm going to place the link and we can do this all together. Let's start at the top of the prohibited words. Activism and activists. So activism, ChatGPT suggests social engagement. An activist, ChatGPT suggests change agents. But I like protagonist for activism instead of social engagement or activists. Advocacy and advocate. Advocacy, they said, support efforts, and advocate is supporter. So I do like supporter, advocacy, support efforts. I think we can do better than support efforts. I got to come back to that one. Barrier and barriers. ChatGPT came up with hindrance and impediments. I also would use obstacle. So I think we're all there. Biased and bias. Now this is really important because in science, you can have a bias, which is a propensity toward one way or the other. It's not pejorative. It is, or derogatory in any way. It is a leaning towards. So the words that's coming up are prejudiced, biased, prejudiced, and bias, inclination. I do like inclination. I don't like prejudice because it's such a weighty word that I would. Propensity. I prefer propensity. Next word is BIPOC, and it is, of course, an acronym. And ChatGPT said Americans. That's not effective at all. Right under BIPOC is Black and Latinx community, which was replaced with African and Latin American. I think that would be better. Community diversity, and that was replaced with variety in groups. Non-homogeneous is good. Diversity. We're not allowed to say community equity. So ChatGPT said fairness in communities. We can say, I'm kind of stuck. Equity. Even-handedness. Even-handedness. That's a good one. Okay. Cultural differences. They said, ChatGPT says distinct customs. Okay. Cultural heritage is banned, change it to legacy. Okay. Culturally responsive is banned, change it to context aware. Don't love that either. Feel free to jump in with this, and I am going to have multi-parts on this since this is getting really long. Number 16, disabilities. Prohibited word. Great. Impairments. So I am chronically ill and have several disabilities, and I guess that they do impair me from doing things, so impairment can be fine. Discrimination and discriminatory are prohibited words. Unfavorable treatment and unjust are good replacement words. Backgrounds. We're not allowed to say backgrounds, so personal history is what's being used. Discriminatory, unjust. Groups. We can't say groups. Can we say the squad? Gang. Collectives. ChatGPT likes collectives. Diversified. Can't say that, but we can say varied. So I like varied. Diversify is replaced with broaden, which is nice because it's to widen a scope. You can't say enhancing. Improving is ChatGPT. I might say strengthening, or I do like improving. Equal opportunity can't be said, but we can say fair access to. Okay, I will continue this in a part 2.